Hi, folks. I'm Sean Crabtree.
And I'm Cameron Bailey.
We don't want to change the way you do business.
We want to change the way you're thinking about your business.
We want you to have better results, happier clients, and make more money.
Let's get it started.
And welcome into this week's show. As you heard, I'm Sean Crabtree, and this is my partner,
Cameron Bailey.
And we are so excited to talk to you on this week's show about something that is not spent nearly enough time on. And that is this concept of entrepreneurship.
So, Sean, did you know?
I did not know what you're about to tell me.
Did you know that 50% of all small businesses will fail within the first 5 years?
And this is according to
Business Insider.
According to Business Insider, 50% of all businesses will fail this year. I did not know that.
In the first 5 years.
In the first 5 years.
82% of all small businesses experience consistently cash flow problems. Means they don't have enough money. Not enough dental profits.
Not enough profits. And this show is all about the profits. Now, it's interesting that you bring that up because I was actually doing a little research on my own. And to your point, 50% of all small businesses will fail in the first 5 years. Now, if you do a little deeper research, and this is where we got to call BS on this, right?
Okay.
BS. According to the National Association of Small Businesses for their 15 report, which is the latest information I could find, there were 3 reasons that were given for the fact that 50% of all businesses fail in the first 5 years. You ready for this?
Woo, drop it. 3 reasons.
You ready for this?
What are the top 3 reasons? I better write this down.
Did you know?
This is going to be important. I did not know. Please let me know.
Now, this is what they say. Number 1, economic uncertainty.
Shit, that's every day.
That's part of being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. That's
number 2, the cost of healthcare insurance benefits. Okay. Number 3, a decline in consumer spending.
Come on.
So the truth is,
that's the BS button.
We got to flush that, right? The truth is,
what was the first one?
Economic uncertainty.
Oh, obviously.
That's part of being an entrepreneur, right? The cost of health insurance benefits is number 2. And number 3 is a decline in customer spending.
Wow.
Now, that one's just flat out debunked, right? Now, it's a couple of years old, but these are the 3 things. Now, you would call BS on that. Right?
I would, totally.
Because the truth is, none of those 3 things have anything whatsoever to do with your business as an entrepreneur succeeding or failing. And I would
if you believe that.
Well, and like Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way you'd be right.
Exactly.
Right? So your beliefs control it. But one of the things that you and I talk about a lot is this concept of, it's tough. Being an entrepreneur is tough.
It's hard.
But
it's hard.
Success leaves tracks.
Yep. And you know what? I confess that there have been times when I may have dropped the entrepreneurial ball.
You didn't carry the water?
No. And I've allowed myself to get into my head about what I thought was possible or about what was probably some of the contributing factors to the success or lack thereof. I might have bought into some of that stuff. So, I've been where a lot of these guys are, and it's not a fun place to be. But the way you get out of it is you change your mindset.
And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to give you some steps based on what we've learned over the last 20 years that are going to make a difference in your business right away. Listen, this show is about growth profits. That's what this is about. So we're here to fight through and debunk the craziness that's out there and just give you the straight up honest truth. And here is the straight up honest truth. If you want your business to take off, the number 1 thing that we see is you're not putting your focus on working on your business. You're putting all your focus on working in your business. There's a great book by Michael Gerber, and he's got a whole series of these books called the EMyth. He's got EMyth Physician, EMyth Dentist, and all these other things, EMyth everything. But the concept is basically this, and I agree with him wholeheartedly.
And you can go to thecrabtreegroup.com and purchase that book that he's speaking.
Because we have it under, what is it under?
Good Stuff.
Good Stuff
on our website.
Go to the website, click Good Stuff, and you'll see our favorite one of those EMyth books, which I think is called EMyth Position.
Yes.
And you can order that right away. But here's the concept, and I love the way he puts this. We actually teach it a little bit differently, but the concept is this: America is the greatest country on the planet, and because of that, any person in America who loves to fill in the blank, make pizza or Italian food or be a dentist or whatever, work on heating and air. In America, whatever it is that you love to do, you have the opportunity to open your business around that. I mean, if you like making great Italian food, you can open an Italian restaurant. But the stats that you just mentioned, the reason that businesses are struggling.
82% of businesses are struggling.
82% are struggling.
Cash flow problems. 82% of businesses have cash flow problems.
And the reason for that is, at the end of the day, the person who opened the Italian restaurant liked one thing.
Yep.
He really or she really likes to make the Italian food. The problem is, being really good at working in your business, making the Italian food, has very, very little to do with your success as a business. Now, if it were a hobby, that'd be great. But if you're trying to make it a business, you gotta put an equal, or you'd say more effort.
More focus.
You got to put more effort and more focus on working on the business. Let's talk about that for just a second. That's the first takeaway. We'll come back to the second one here in a minute. How would you define that, Cameron Bailey?
Well, the truth is that, focusing and working tactically in your business is going to be what most people think they need to do. You think you need to do more, right? What we're talking
more
about,
of the making of the food in my example.
More of the work. Right.
That doesn't help your business.
No, you need
working on the business.
Yeah, you need to dive into learning
strategy,
learning how to work on the business and what the strategy could be.
So what are those things? What are the things that you and I spend the majority of our time on when it comes to the strategy, the clients that we support? We spend all of our time trying to get these guys away from the tactical aspects of working in their business and into the strategy of working on their business.
I think it really comes down to, a lot of times, growing your team, to getting them to be partners in your business, right? Entrepreneurship can be very lonely place. If you don't have people around you that are taking ownership, then that's your problem. That's your fault. It's not their fault. It's your fault, because as a leader, you have not put the responsibility squarely on their shoulders to take responsibility, right?
Yep.
What else would you say?
I'd say communication is the biggest key, and that's the number one thing that falls out when businesses, you and I run into this all the time, when businesses, and if you're riding down the road right now and you're listening to this, I really want this, or if you're in your, at your computer, whatever, or if you're viewing this live.
Something valuable is about to happen. Just letting you know.
I would write this down. When it comes to working on your business, your number one focus is communication, but the reverse of that's true. If you're working tactically in your business, communication is what goes away.
Yeah.
And that is the number one thing.
You don't have time to communicate, or it's uncomfortable, or you feel like you have communicated. How do you know? Here's a good question. How do you know when you've communicated something? If I'm the business owner, how do I know when I've communicated something effectively, or when I've communicated my wishes effectively? How would I know?
You want me to answer, or do you want the listeners to answer, the viewers to answer?
I would like you to answer.
You think we could have a call in? We could just let them call in?
Yeah, somebody call in and answer. I'll tell you how you know. Here's how you know when you've communicated effectively, and that's when the result happens.
That's it. And there's no other answer.
I can't tell you guys how many times that we try to self-diagnose the problems in our business, and I feel like, I've told somebody this, or I've communicated that, or I've held them accountable to this level. Well, if the result is not happening, you ain't held them accountable high enough.
You may have intended to do that.
Right.
And you may have actually taken some action that was along those lines.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, communication is not where it needs to be unless or until the result is happening.
The meaning of my communication is the result that I get.
There's one more thing I got to throw into that pie.
Go ahead.
Leadership.
I
mean, you and I run into this all the time. When communication, no doubt, is part of leadership. But when the leader, and this happens it doesn't matter if you've got a heating and air company, a CPA firm, a dental practice, an attorney firm, it doesn't really matter.
Fence company, a landscape company, anything. It doesn't matter, man.
If you're the owner of the business and all of your focus is put on working in the business and doing the tactical aspects of the job, then you're not leading your people. And if you're not leading your people, then everything revolves around you. And if you're the one that everything revolves around, their communication's breaking down, you eventually are going to suffocate, and your business is going to fall into that 82%. That is, what'd you say? How did they describe it? Struggling,
have cash flow problems. That's what they said. 82% of small businesses experience cash flow problems. Means they ain't got enough money, honey.
This is all about your profits.
Yes.
So that's what we're trying to prevent from happening to you. So the number one thing that we see consistently, and I've seen this whether you're talking about Canada, Barbados, the Bahamas, or anywhere in the U.S., Northwest, Midwest, Southeast, doesn't really matter. The number one takeaway here is you have got to put an equal or more effort on working on your business as opposed to just working in your business. And if we don't explain it like we just did, then it would sound like when we say working on your business that you're talking about like marketing and stuff like that.
No,
that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about communication. We're talking about leadership, right?
Yeah. Creating, we did a podcast about creating your vision. All of those things, they come down to the leader of the business setting that example and what you allow. The number two takeaway that you would have is getting everybody on your team to look at themselves as business partners with you versus being employees, and having them be accountable for taking responsibility for the results. I've had a client in the past that I've worked with. We probably worked with him for a few years. And, every time I talk to him, he's thinking to himself, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. I'm communicating. I'm holding the accountability. I'm holding the line.
How frustrated is he?
Very. I mean, it's just, I hear people, it's just not fun. It's not fun. People tell me, Cameron, it's just not fun anymore. I
don't feel like I'm making any money.
I'm not making any money. I feel like it's just a struggle. I just want to pull my hair out. Oh, God.
Gosh, these people on my team, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, I just don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know if being in business for myself is worth all the headache.
I mean, the anguish, the heartache, the emotional roller coaster, right?
And he was on his knees.
Yeah. And the way you get off your knees is you draw a line in the sand. You say, you know what? Whenever I'm pointing a finger at somebody else, I've got 3-4 more pointing back at me, right? It's my responsibility. And it's my responsibility to lead these people on my team to take authority and take responsibility and be business partners with me. If I think that I'm doing it and I think I'm living this way, but I'm not getting the result that I'm looking for, then I got to change the way I'm communicating, right? There is no magic sauce. There is no magic bullet. Success leaves tracks, whatever business you're in. If you want to learn how to be successful, go find out somebody else that's successful and find out how they took leadership and how they took responsibility for their business, and then go implement that in your business.
I mean, I would say that any small business owner, any entrepreneur out there, if they've not felt like the situation that you just described, they're not telling the truth.
Yeah, they're lying.
I mean,
anybody that says it's easy is either lying or they've never done it.
I can certainly tell you that I've experienced every emotion that there is to experience as an entrepreneur. And you and I talk about this all the time. I mean, we've been there, and, the bottom line is the bottom line. When you are about to throw in the towel, when you're about to give up,
that's when you double down.
When it seems like it's the darkest, you're right. I mean, that's when you double down. You know what? Get rid of right and wrong in your own mind. Listen, there is no good or bad. There is no failure. There is no wrong. None of that exists. Here's what exists. There are steps. that you have to be able to follow. And like Cameron said, success leaves tracks. Now, you can beat yourself up, or you can just realize, here's the truth of the matter. If I'm not getting a result, it's my fault. Period. That's it. And then you're not blaming yourself.
No.
It's not about blame by saying, hey, it's my fault. It's about recognizing that it's my fault so I can take responsibility. Now I can take action.
So I can find a different way.
Now I can go get action.
Massive action.
Now I can go get something done.
Exactly.
But unless or until I'm willing to say,
enough is enough.
It's my responsibility. Yeah. And if I'm pointing the finger at, like this stat I just told you, if I'm pointing the finger at the economy
the
or
money,
what's the other thing? Yeah. The health insurance
insurance, yeah.
And
consumer spending? Yeah.
Come on, man.
Tell Amazon that. Tell Amazon that consumer spending is down. Right. Yeah. Tell them that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example.
It's a great example.
You and I were just talking about this the other day. There's a stat. What are they looking for? They're looking for a place in America. They're looking for a city in America.
Yeah. For 50,000. They're looking for a second headquarters for 50,000 employees.
Meanwhile,
yeah,
there are other businesses.
Toys R Us is out of business. Toys R Us is gone, man. How long has Toys R Us been in business? I don't even know.
I don't know, but I bet you this. I bet you that if we were to talk to some of those people at Toys R Us, you know what they'd say? We're going down because consumer spending is down and the cost of healthcare is going up and the economy.
Surely not. Maybe.
At the end of the day, the truth is, you're an entrepreneur. The buck stops here. It's not about blaming yourself. It's about taking responsibility so that you can go take massive, massive action.
If you guys go read books and go read entrepreneur or success or leadership books, what you read is the people that are most successful, the story always starts the same. I was down to my last dollar.
Yeah.
You know, I had been bankrupt. You know, I was
living in my car.
I was living in my car. I was on the verge of devastation. And then all of a sudden I became a multimillionaire. Well, because I got to the bottom and I made a decision that instead of focusing working in the business, I'm going to focus working on the business. And you put your back to the wall, you got no choice. What you got to learn to do is put your back to the wall when things are going great. You know,
before you actually get to the wall.
Before it gets bad.
Yeah.
That's the key. Look at your team as business partners. Hold them accountable for thinking and taking responsibility of the results.
And that's where so that's the number 2 takeaway. And I probably interrupted you there.
No, that's fine. No, we're good.
But that's the number 2 takeaway. And that goes back to number 1. I mean, if you're focusing on working on your business, then you're looking at your people not as employees. You're looking at your people as business partners. And as business partners, you're not telling them what to do. As business partners, you're holding them accountable for taking responsibility. That's a huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
And so if I'm an entrepreneur, I can walk around and go, yeah, my people aren't, doing what I need them to do. And I'm just tired of this and poor little old me. Or you can say, you know what? I mean, here's the truth of the matter. We've all been there.
Yeah.
If you're not getting a result, it's because you're not communicating with your people and you're not treating them like business partners. And that's the way I would define a business partner. A business partner is somebody who takes responsibility for a portion of your business, just like you take a responsibility for a portion of your business. When you hold them accountable, not for stuff they're doing tactically, but when you hold them accountable for taking that responsibility, now things will change. That also means, what do you do if you have somebody that doesn't want to take responsibility? You're communicating them consistently and they're not taking responsibility. What do you do?
What do you do? You hold them accountable. I mean, what do you do?
You hold them accountable.
How important is it?
So what do you hold them accountable for?
The way they're
hold them
thinking.
Accountable for making a choice.
The way they're thinking.
The way that they're thinking.
Yeah.
What is your choice? Your choice is you can stay here and take responsibility and be a partner in my business. And if that's not what you want to do, that's okay. We can still be friends, but you can't stay here.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
And if you're out there listening to this and you think that, oh my gosh, I mean, Joanne's been with me for 25 years. She's been working here for 25 years. I can't tell her that. Then you're not ready to take a leadership role. Your job as the leader is to consistently and relentlessly drive the vision to fruition.
So, the best examples that I've learned always come. You and I talk about this because you've got some great lessons from your dad, and I've gotten some great lessons from my dad and from my mom. Well, I'll tell you a story, and I'm just about to embarrass myself big time here. But when we're approaching Thanksgiving, and so this always comes into my head about this time of year. So when I was in college, and I was thinking that I'm big stuff.
How long ago were you in college?
It was only a few years ago.
2 years ago. 2 years ago when Sean was a sophomore in college.
So when I was in college, I remember I was 21. And I came home for Thanksgiving, and, my mom's got my whole family there. And we're all gathered around this big Thanksgiving table. We got turkey and all that, a huge table. And I said something, for whatever the conversation was, I said something that I shouldn't have said. And I'm not going to tell you what it was because I'm embarrassed about it.
Like a smart aleck remark?
It was a smart aleck remark.
I got you.
And I was 21 years old.
Yeah. Grown man.
Now, my mom.
Yeah.
My mom smacked me so hard.
Yeah.
In front of the entire family at the Thanksgiving dinner table. And it was like a quick draw. Like, she smacked me and already had her hand down before I felt it. I mean, just like cat-like reflexes.
You couldn't get away with that these days.
She smacked me so hard. And basically, what she said was, I don't care if you are, 60 years old with my great-grandchildren at this house. This is the way we live. You know who we are and how we live, and you know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And so you're welcome to say and do whatever you'd like to say and do, and you're always welcome in this house. But when you're in this house, you got to follow these rules. You know what? That's what you got to do as an entrepreneur. It's not the rules of –
Don't overthink it, man.
That's right. It's not the rules of do this. It's the rules of you got to take responsibility because I'm looking for a business partner. And if you don't want to be as a business partner, that's okay, but you can't stay here.
Well, and, I was looking at there's a quote I saw earlier today, but one of the things it said was you got to follow your gut, man.
Right.
And when you're in that situation and somebody's on your team that you're not sure is taking responsibility or taking authority, or that they're not willing to take responsibility or authority, you feel that in your gut. It's not like you don't notice it. It's just, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to hold them accountable? Or are you just going to continue to complain and moan and get upset and get frustrated before you just take massive action and do something about it?
You're exactly right. And so all this stuff, that the economy, all of those kinds of things. I mean, we've had clients through the 2007, 8, 9.
6, 7, 8, 9, yeah.
Our guys did great through all of that. It has very little to do with those things that you cannot control, and it has everything to do with the things that you can control, but you're not. And those two things are, number one, you've got to put as much or more focus on working on your business than you do working in your business. And we've talked about that. Number two.
Well, the truth is you don't need to focus on the economy.
Right.
You don't need to
control it.
Yeah, you can't control it. It does you no good to focus on things that are beyond your ability to control. What you can control is your vision. You can control the culture, your practice. You can control who's on your team and are they taking responsibility.
That's right.
All the rest of that, don't worry about it. You can't control the economy. You can't control what the president is going to do. You can't control regulations.
Healthcare.
You can't control health insurance. There's no point in worrying about it. You need to worry about what you can control and get really, really focused and good about what you can't control.
So number one, put as much or more focus on just what Cameron said, working on your business. We call that the strategy side, rather than working in your business, which we call the tactical aspects of your business. Number two, make sure that the people around you are taking responsibility. They're not doing what they're told. Hold them accountable for being responsible for the results. Then you'll have business partners and not employees.
I mean, that pretty much sums it up.
That's
man.
it.
I mean,
that is it.
That is
At
good.
the end of the day,
that is a good sermon.
Those are the two things. That is a sermon from the Mount.
That's right.
Do these things, and you will sow the seeds of happier clients and soon be reaping the rewards of larger profits. And that's what this is all about. Growth, profits.
It's not about, it's about making money, man.
Getting that money, honey.
Getting that money. You don't want to get the money. You want the options that come from the money, man.
There you go.
Go out there and get yourself in a position where you got options, where you can do what you want to do and be what you want to be.
I'm Sean Crabtree. This is Cameron Bailey. Thanks for joining us this week. Please go to our website, www.thecrabtreegroup.com, and check out all of our podcasts. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.